All right, guys, so before this video actually really starts, I want to go ahead and point out that yes, I did upload this on my new second channel, but I decided to go ahead and upload it here since it is audio related. And this is just to really kind of take a second to also let you know that my second channel I started to allow me the opportunity to talk about stuff that's not just earbuds. So that's why I threw the headphones on there. But I'm talking about VR stuff, talking about cameras. So if you do like my videos and you want to see me cover other stuff, I'm going to do it over there instead of trying to do it on the main channel. So make sure to subscribe. I will put that in the description. But that's enough of that. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there before starting this video. All right, guys. So today we're going to talk about a pair of headphones from Skullcandy that's actually made for kids. And the pair that we're going to talk about is the Skullcandy Grom. Now we are going to talk about why these are specifically made for kids, why they have the features that they have, and can it actually be used by adults, or would it be beneficial to look into this pair because it's only $35, and from a company like Skullcandy, not that they're one of the higher tier companies or more expensive brands, there's some features here and some sound and things that I want to talk about that might make these actually worth picking up if you're an adult. So what actually makes these a pair that's geared towards kids? Well, they definitely have a smaller design. It has basically like a cheap plastic build to it. But in Skullcandy's lineup, the smaller size that they have, they usually only had the on-ear ear pads, like the flat ear pads. But these are intended to be over-the-ear headphones for kids, so it does have the cutout. But I'm going to tell you, most adult ears is actually going to touch the top and the bottom. So these would still be considered on-ear headphones for adults. But if you have a somewhat small head for an adult, these will fit you pretty fine. But if your kid has a huge melon, this is not going to fit. It definitely did not fit me. I had to kind of wear them a little further back on my head to actually have the ear cups cover my ears. And some other things is they also made hinges on here that would keep these from pinching kids' fingers because they do fold in. The ear cups also swivel, and it's pretty simple when it comes to the controls. They made it where it's just a single function button right up at the top. This is what allows you to play, pause, and skip your tracks. And then they have a little volume wheel. And the volume is another thing that they've done to purposely make this for kids because they're limiting it to only 85 decibels. Although there is just a simple override method. Once you turn the volume wheel all the way up, you actually have to push it a little bit harder. And if you push it where it shows Skullcandy's logo on the volume wheel, it makes it much louder. And this is where I say that this could be used by adults. I think at the normal trying to limit it volume level, it definitely is pretty low. I think it's loud enough for kids. It's going to be great so you don't have to hear everything that your kid's listening to. You don't have to have that kid in a store that's blasting what they're listening to on their phone. You can have this on their head. That will eliminate a lot of that. But if you're an adult and you need that louder volume, or if you're just a kid and you have your kid on a plane where it's going to be a little bit harder to hear these, overriding it by pushing it up that little bit is going to make a huge difference. But we'll talk about that once we get into the sound. Now, as far as any padding, the top just has this fabric headband, but again, because these basically have like no weight to them at all, they're not uncomfortable. You don't have to worry that it's gonna get heavy on their head. This basically weighs pretty much nothing at all. Now, as far as what all they've included in the box, it does come with a USB-C cable to actually charge these. The battery life is rated to get you about 45 hours on a full charge. That's really impressive because, you know, if you have a kid, you're not always worried that their devices are charged all the time. So 45 hours is definitely going to get, you through a week or two if your kid's only using them while riding to school or maybe after school or something like that. So the battery life is pretty impressive. But if you do happen to pick them up, it also has a fast charge feature where a 10-minute charge will get you 4 hours. So if you're headed out the door and you do realize that the headphones are dead, if you just charge them for 10 minutes, you will have 4 hours, which will be nice, even if you have a pretty lengthy car ride to go. And another cool feature is it also comes with just a normal 3.5mm headphone cable. So if there's no power to these at all, you can plug them into any device that uses a normal headphone jack, and then you're good to go. And then there's also another area on the headphones that you can plug in a 3.5mm cable and then plug it into another pair of headphones so that this pair can share the audio to another pair of headphones. So two people can be listening to the same thing at the same time. And again, if you have kids and they're in the back seat and they're watching the same thing on a phone or a tablet or whatever, this is a really nice feature because you don't always have the ability to pair two pair of headphones to the same device. So just plugging a cable, running it to the other pair of headphones, and being able to have them both listen to the same things can also come in very handy. Now, another thing that this pair does have is it also has a microphone. So if you are going to maybe call your kids, if they have their own phone for whatever reason, you can do that. Or if they're using a phone or tablet and they're gaming, it also can have the mic. So they'll be able to talk to whoever they're gaming with online. And you know, the mics on here are decent. It's definitely not anything special, but you guys can be the judge by listening to a quick test here.
So here is just a quick little mic test just to give you an idea of how the mics sound on the Skullcandy Grom. And I think for just taking phone calls or maybe gaming on your mobile device, it's not too bad. So this is what it would sound like if you were to use it taking a call or playing on a mobile device.
So now let's talk about the sound. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this. These were quite the surprise when it came to the sound. Now, if you're going to listen to them just at like their normal volume without going into that override mode, everything that I'm gonna say here still applies to that. It's just going to be much lower. I mean, you definitely have to push it into that override mode if you're an adult to really be able to get, you know, really good volume out of these. But once you do, these have some pretty nice punchy bass, but it's tight. It's not sloppy. It's not like overbearing. It's not drowning everything out. It does have pretty good sub bass though. So if you are listening to things where, you know, it needs to kind of sound like a subwoofer, it can definitely do that. The mids are pushed forward, which this is a huge thing in a pair like this because I could see a lot of kids using this more for movies and TV shows and YouTube and stuff like that. I don't know how many little kids or younger kids are actually listening to Spotify. So having the mids pushed forward means you're going to be able to hear talking and dialogue and, you know, vocalists and everything a little bit better. It's not something you have to worry it's going to be hard to hear. And the treble on these also have a nice detailed sound to them. Now, they're not close to spiking or hitting that harsh sound, so you don't have to worry about ear fatigue or damaging ears because of higher frequencies, but it definitely still has a somewhat bright sound to it. It still sounds clean, it still sounds detailed, and I really didn't expect this type of sound signature in a pair like this that's really aimed at kids. It says that it's for kids 6 and up. Now, when it comes to the soundstage and the sound imaging, this is kind of where I thought these would be. They're not very wide open sounding. They kind of left me sounding like I'm in a medium to almost large size room. So, you know, nothing mind-blowing here, but you have to keep in mind that this is a pair for kids and it's a pair that's only $35. So my overall opinion is the sound is pretty fantastic for a pair that's 35 bucks once you override them. But again, if it's for a kid and this is who is actually going to use them, definitely leave it off that override mode. Hearing, you know, you don't want to damage it at any age, but you definitely don't when it's more sensitive to louder sounds. Now, I do want to say, if you're an adult and you have a smaller head, probably more females, this is actually a really good option if you are looking for a pair of headphones. I mean, the sound is good, the volume's good once you override it, it's comfortable, it's lightweight, you can pretty much wear it, you know, all day. I mean, 45 hours of battery life is very impressive. And having that link feature, if you do have kids, is nice so two people can listen to the same thing. Having the wired connection so that you can plug it straight into something if the battery's dead. I mean, I did not expect to actually like the sound of these, but once you start testing it out and testing it with different, you know, genres and movies and TV shows, again, I was pretty impressed by these overall. But guys, that's my video on the Skullcandy Grom. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.